Hey everyone, welcome back to Alf's Mustang Garage. We're back on the 289 engine rebuild, and today we're going to be installing our timing chain gear set. First thing that you want to do when installing your timing chain is probably just line up your crank and camshaft. I'm just going to install the crankshaft bolts, and we're going to turn this so the woodruff key is pointed in the up 12 o'clock position. Your number one piston over here should be up to the top as well when you do that. Okay, woodruff key is up. Number one piston is at top dead center. But we got to get our camshaft. The hole right there is for the set pin, and it needs to be pointed down in the 6 o'clock position. Now, if it's hard to turn, you can simply just kind of loosely install the gear like this and turn it. But you gotta get the dowel pin in there. And a lot of timing chain sets will come with two different sizes. We're not doing anything crazy or fancy on this. This is kind of relatively stock. So we just kind of have like a single roller timing set. We're probably still going to end up using the longer of the two dowel pins. So let's kind of mock that up. You can kind of see it sits nice and flush there, even though it's not tight. But now I can turn my camshaft really easy. So, in case you're kind of wondering how do you know you're at top dead center for your compression stroke, well, that's what your camshaft determines what's compression and what's exhaust. So your crank goes around twice per one revolution of the cam, and so you just set your crank to top dead center, and then your cam dialed in is what's setting if it's going to be on compression or not. So now that we kind of have our crank and cam in the relatively close positions, we're going to install the gear set and chain together as one assembly. So I'll take this bolt back out for the crankshaft. Now for the crank gear, it's keyed for the woodruff key here on the crankshaft, and so as that goes on, and it'll be kind of relatively easy, but sometimes you just need to exercise some patience. I'm gonna kind of oil this up and make it kind of go on a little smoother. All right, just kind of get some oil flowing over that spout. So there's an indicator dot just right here, right above the woodruff key. So that's going to go on. Now our chain is not going to have any kind of indication marks on it, but we want these two dots to point at each other like this. This is kind of how I set these up. I'll get my crank gear started and then just kind of line up the cam gear and just kind of pull it straight up like that, and it's going in. So now we just need to kind of assist her on. So there's a little zoomed in, hopefully that kind of helps you see that, but both those dots are connected, and just kind of raise her up and the links kind of fall right into place, and so you're lined up perfectly right there. And you can kind of use a little rubber mallet to kind of assist you as you kind of go on. But as you get closer to the cam, you want to kind of make sure your dowel is going in. You can kind of like actually see the dowel, maybe not on camera, but it's going to be a tight fit going in there. Okay, but once she's started, it's just like that. New chains are going to be tight, so it's going to be kind of a tight fit. So you don't have to hammer on it too hard, but you just kind of gently tap her with a rubber mallet and you should be good. Okay, so now we're on. You can see the two indicator dots are pointed right at each other. Our dowel pin is not quite flush, but that's because we haven't tightened the bolt up on it. This is going to get a mechanical fuel pump, so this is the fuel pump eccentric. As we tighten this bolt, what we're going to be watching for is that the dowel pin of the camshaft is going to come into the fuel pump eccentric. And it looks like it did not. So I'm going to have to put in the longer dowel pin. I thought I just needed the shorter one on this. Okay, so we're just going to pull this back off. Okay, put the longer one in. Okay, now we're back in with the longer dowel pin. We'll install the cam bolt with the fuel pump eccentric. And then as I tighten that dowel pin actually comes into the eccentric in order to keep that in place. So when you kind of pull this off to demonstrate, see now it's like actually protruding out of the timing gear slightly, and you want it to be kind of slightly pulled out like that because it goes into the hole and keeps the fuel pump eccentric in place. So now that I'm going to be installing the cam bolt for the final time, I do like a little bit of Loctite. You probably don't have to do that. It's just something that I like to do. Makes me feel a little better. The torque specification is 40 to 45 foot-pounds, and so I'm going to take her to 40 and see how she feels. There's 40. I'll put her to 42. Okay, there we go. Timing is now set. So this is ready to go on cylinder number 1, top dead center. The last thing that I'll put on here before the timing cover is Ford's put an oil slinger on here. I know some people don't actually install those, they just kind of leave them off. My philosophy on a stock engine is Ford put them there from the beginning for a reason, so I'm going to put it back on there. And then before we put the timing cover on, we'll kind of oil up the chain and everything and make sure you know, everything's kind of pre-oiled and ready to go for the first fire up. That should conclude the timing chain installation video for our engine build. So I hope you found that helpful. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you would like to follow us along. It certainly helps us in order to produce more videos to help keep your Mustang on the road and out of the garage. And we'll catch you next time.